It's really cool to hear what you're playing, like you know that this is you playing your instrument. It's not somebody else, it's just you. So it's really cool and sort of rewarding.
It's really awesome. It's like learning a new language because you learn all different notes, how to play it, and what speed. It's really awesome. And I think if you learn it, it's great. Like a lot of people don't learn any musical instruments, which is fine, but I think it's a kind of a waste of your life.
It is learning a completely different language. I think it kind of expands your brain to having to learn new things, because you have to, every single time you have to learn something new. And I think that's super important in today's world because we don't even really think about things more. We just pull out our phones, search it up, or go to the computer, look it up. Whereas music, you can't really look that up. You kind of have to be able to experience it. You can't say, like, what does playing music feel like? You have to try it yourself.
And what we're going to do is we're going to clap and count this rhythm.
If I'm listening and playing, it's actually quite nice because after all I can understand, and it's really fun after I understand it, so I can just tell my mom, like, oh, I learned this really hard song today and I played it really well.
When you play it, it's almost like you have an amazing sensation because it's almost magical because when you play it and the music comes out, it overwhelms you.
There's a big success factor here. There's a fun factor and a success factor. And the fun is that the sound and the physicality of it. And the success is that you can take these very simple components of music, fit them all together in a layered effect with all the different, like the sopranos, the tenors, the baritone bass, different registers. You can layer these rhythms and create something that's quite complex, but it's easy to accomplish once you just get into it a little bit.
It fits for everyone, but if the kid is looking for a musical kind of education, Marimba's a great place to start because it's got all the basic notes and it's not that hard because it's just, I had already started piano, but I know tons of people in my class who can't play any instrument except the marimba, and they started in grade 4 and now they're amazing at it.
It's an instrument that is easy enough that it can be mastered in the amount of time that they're in the classroom, which is not a lot. It's an hour and a half a week.
The thing is, because you don't have to work on the struggle to get a tone that's in tune, you hit it, it's in tune. You hit the next note, oh, sorry, it's still a note and it's still in tune, it's just not the note you wanted. You could be early or you could be late, but it's real music and you can develop musicality with it. So it's the simplicity of it in a sense combined with the fact that it's harmonic and rhythmic and melodic all together.
Well, usually it's people teaching other people, so you learn it off the paper and then you get taught it by another student. And then Paul helps us with something that we don't understand, and he's really good about helping us with that. And really, it's a lot better to learn from other people than using it, learning off the paper, because it's just easier to know what it sounds like.
When you're teaching, you're learning how other people play their music, and not only your way of playing it, because your way, you might find that somebody else plays it a different way and maybe an easier way for yourself.
I want to start by establishing the tempo on the break. Okay. Yeah, we're doing the break right now. And I need you on your solo right there. Can you practice your solo for a second?
It takes a lot of concentration, like a lot, because you have to focus on your part and your part only. You have to keep in timing, you have to know the keys that you're playing, you have to be with everybody, you have to start on the right count, so it's like a whole bunch going through your head just for like one performance. And it's really hard to learn your part, but then when you learn your part, it's really easy, but it takes a lot of concentration learning your part.
The challenge with marimbas is a kind of high-level musical, orchestral, ensemble skill that a lot of music students don't get, even to the level of university. The idea is, what I express to my students is that everybody is going to get up to a high level. I sometimes say to them, it's like A and A+. That's all that we can do. Because as a community, we want to sound great.
Paul gives challenging pieces. He doesn't give pieces just for kids. He gives pieces that adults play to us, and I like that challenge.
Now, these were the steps that we followed. You were trying to do this with a partner, and what you had to do was this. We chose a 2-bar rhythm, and you had to be able to clap it. Okay? As it turns out, marimba is a fantastic thing for teaching composition because, you take a mallet, you hit it, it's a note. So there's your technique. That's all you really need. So instead you can work on everything else. You can work on musicality, on composition, on conceptual things, on all the other elements of music that you can't get to while you're struggling with just getting a single sound. Okay, that's pretty easy. So what you were doing was this, one on one side, one on the other, C, E, E, G, G, E. Now, Paul and Bruce, when they started doing this, came up with a brilliant idea of putting colored stickers on the bars. So you put colored stickers on them and say, okay, play this rhythm where the blue stickers are. And whatever they play, they can play the rhythm, and it comes out C major chord. And so if you give them a model, C, F, G, F, or blue, green, blue, red, and give them some possible rhythms, whatever they will do will give you success almost right away, which is pretty incredible for music, which isn't very successful right away. Nice, it's very interesting. So you left the first part the same, and the second part you did harmony on. That's very interesting. I haven't heard anybody do that before.
I've got students now, because I've asked for the students to be creative. As soon as this thing, you ask people, you encourage something, and then suddenly, because it's something to do with our human capability, what we encourage is what comes out. What we discourage is what gets suppressed. If you discourage creativity, there won't be any. I'm seeing amazing stuff coming out of the kids in grades 2, 3, and 4 right now. I've got kids saying, oh, you want to hear my song? They'll start playing it, and this great melody.
By giving them a limited amount of choices and then getting them to play with the color scheme, they can write very complex sounding music. And it's satisfying music. It's not just simplistic, it's satisfying.
School's kind of a lot of the times like, okay, this is right, this is wrong, this is like, that's not right, this is right, like those facts aren't right. But in marimbas it's kind of like, oh, I like the way that you did that, so we're gonna use that way. Like I liked how that soprano came in first.
I don't think we've even scratched the surface of what can be done with composition with kids. And the thing is that it's supposed to be some way of communicating something. And you wouldn't If you use the analogy of speech, what would you think of a person who could only communicate if someone else had written down the words for them on a page and they read them to you? Especially with children, there's a genetic thing where they just will learn languages at a very young age. And the same thing is true of music, because it's a language, right? So if they have the elements to start assembling them, then they'll say their own sentences. They'll have sentences that no one has ever thought of before.
A classroom is really a community of people playing these instruments. They're doing a performance. And when they have to play together, the sense of complete unity that they acquire in that moment is probably unlike anything they've experienced in their lives almost. In many of the work that they do, they might work in groups of 2 and 3 and that sort of thing. But when they do a performance as a group, it's this profound sense of connectedness and community. And that connectedness is based around a high level of perfection in musical timing, which is not merely it is not just some sort of technical accomplishment. It's something that's negotiated by a whole group of people. That's one of the key features, is that Marimbas is for everybody. When everybody is in the class, this is an experience for everybody. We're all going to do this together. It's going to be an expression of us working together.
When we're all playing together and there's no mistakes in anything, well, since that is a miracle when it happens, because the things that can happen with the marimba are miraculous, but when we all play together, it's beautiful, just amazing.
When it really works, kids have this experience of the wonderful thing that musicians have had happen and that motivates us to still want to be better and better musicians, is that feeling you get when you're playing with other people and it works, and it really works, and it just kind of takes on a life of its own. And there's in a sense you could, when it's really good, there's a sense you get where you can just sort of let your mind float off into the middle of the room and observe the whole thing. It kind of runs by itself, right, when it's really free. And that experience for kids to have, they get this experience of playing this whole thing together and being a part of the greater whole. That's really a cool thing, and that they don't get a lot of experience with. And because it sounds so great, it doesn't feel like, oh, now I'm just a little kid, I'm playing my little kitten bunny song. No, it's real music, right? It's as real as you want it to be.
It's just like you let your hand just move. Like when you've memorized a song, without the book, you just kind of just let your hands just flow, and you just know the notes of it.
I don't know how to explain it, but I love the sound of it. That's why I like playing it.
It sounds really beautiful in the end once you've had all the hard work and stuff, and all the pieces fit together some way, so it sounds really magical, I guess.